What's up, y'all? Welcome to Shoe Buddy Sports, episode one something, 40 something at this point. I'm your host, Graham Powell. That's Bradley Brown, the other screen there. Say what's up, Brad.
What's happening?
We got lots of things going on. We got All-Star baseball. We had a national anthem last night before the home run derby that we'll talk about. Which was worse, that or Fergie's? We'll get into that and more. First, let's give a quick shout out to our sponsor. Shoe Booty Sports is presented by Rhino Races. Rhino Races is a virtual race series that offers 5 different races: a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, a marathon, and the Rhino Ultra. You can sign up for one or all five of their races at rhinoraces.com. Run your race at your convenience, track it with your fitness app of choice, screenshot your results as proof of completion, submit that screenshot to rhinoraces.com under the submit results section. Once your results are verified by Rhino Races staff, your award will be shipped to you by mail. Also, check out their gear section for t-shirts, wristbands, decals, and more. That's rhinoraces.com. Rhino Races is the premier virtual running series. And you can find us Shoe Booty Sports on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on X at Shoe Booty Sports. Let's start off with the home run derby last night. How much of it did you get to see? We'll explain the situation. My mom is currently in Europe, traveling Europe. You are house sitting for her since you live, close by, way closer than I do. So you have limited access to television, internet, etc. My mom and I are both appreciative of your sacrifice. But how much of the Derby did you get to see? I'm sure you at least got to see some highlights.
I got to watch the end of the semifinal round and most of the final round. So
So you tuned
I
in
did,
about when I did.
yeah, I got to see a couple of dingers. So
Yeah, I got home. I don't know. It had to be like 8:30, something like that. It was very late when I got home. I worked a 10-hour shift yesterday. I had to go get groceries after because I had nothing in the house, food wise, really. So I said, well, I'm already out and about and exhausted. Might as well go grab a few things at the store. Oh, I had to get my dog food, which I went in to go get. I got fruit and like food for myself. And then I walked out. I got in the car, pulled out of the parking lot, and realized I didn't get the one thing I went there for to begin with. So I had to circle back around, re enter the parking lot, go inside and get the dog food. I think I got those frozen bananas, chocolate chip and peanut butter covered banana slices while I was in there. I don't know why I did, but I did. Well, it just sounded good. In fact, I may
yeah,
have
those
some
sound
here.
real good. I didn't even know they had anything like that. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna
they
have to
do.
look for those next time.
You have to. The trick is you can't just pull them out of the freezer and like eat them. You have to like basically let them sit for at least 10 minutes because then when they get a little bit like not room temperature but not frozen, that's when they're good. I might
I'm sure
have
I'll
some
forget
here
that,
now.
but yeah.
Yeah, they're on point. But anyway, I get home, I turn the TV on because I know the derby's going on. I'm putting everything away, and I don't get to really sit down and pay close attention until the semifinal. It was one guy had already. I think Bobby Witt Jr. had gone already in the semis, so I didn't get to see him swing until the final. But I got to see Alec Bohm and Teoscar Hernandez. Is that it? The guy who ended up winning it. I saw them go at it in the semifinal round, and of course, them going to extras, sudden death, or whatever they called it. And so Hernandez advanced to the final. It was a really good semifinal round and a really good final.
Yeah.
I really thought I didn't know. I didn't know if Bobby. It looked like Bobby Witt Jr. might do it. He got into a groove there at the end. Looked like he was going to tie it. Came up just a few feet short of tying it on the final out. It was a very exciting home run derby. I haven't watched the home run derby in several years, just because it's Mondays are my worst shift. They're my worst shift at the hospital. I always get home pretty late and just don't have time to really do anything, uh, at least until like 10 o'clock at night. And but I was able to catch the end of this home run derby. Very entertaining. Uh, Also, okay, first of all, I I don't know what it is about the camera angle. I guess it's that it's being timed because used to you got to see like every swing. Like if it was going somewhere, if it wasn't a foul ball or something or just a grounder, you got to see every ball get blasted. And now it's so fast paced that you're watching them swing and then you're just watching the screens, you just wondering where it's going to land. I don't like it as a viewer on television, but I understand why they have the timed rule and the number of pitches and all that, but it doesn't make for eye popping TV. So I don't know how you address that, or if you do maybe change the camera angle like they did at the end, toward the end of where each person was batting, where they were just showing it where they were hitting it every time, like behind the plate, like facing left center, and then you could actually see the ball travel. That was enjoyable, but just watching it on TV, it was weird. It was weird to watch. Do you feel the
Yeah.
same way about that?
Yeah, it felt a little bit different. Yeah, you were cutting back and forth between the ball tracker in the top right and watching them hit the ball on the main screen. Um, yeah, it was a little bit too fast paced, but yeah, I'd say a quarter of the balls you couldn't even see them land. And the tracker, I don't know, it showed some that went over that or showed some that were landing short that were going over. I don't know if it was that well tuned in, but I guess it worked.
I mean, it works as far as how you want to run it, but it doesn't make for the best television. It's now I understand you don't want guys taking 5 pitch breaks. They're taking and like you get in the bonus round. That's how it used to be, where you just if you start to get tired, you just take a few pitches and it slows things down a lot. I get why you wanted to speed that up. Same reason we've sped up the game. Like, hey, let's just baseball is too long. Let's get even for the purist like me who loves baseball. Like, no, it's a really long game. Like, let's speed it up some. Let's find a way to speed it up. I'm fine with that. Just saying it doesn't make the best television, at least for the home run derby. But yeah, very exciting final. I like that Bobby Witt Jr. wore his like Royals jersey so that you could see because I don't know who these guys are. There's so many new All Stars. I don't know who they are, other than the Phillies players. I really don't. And like the stars, Otani, Aaron Judge. Uh, I know who Juan Soto is, but I don't know that everybody does. Uh, Paul Skeens, obviously, which that was fun to watch him pitch the first inning there. I was glad I got to see him go up against Aaron Judge. But I'm glad that Bobby Witt Jr. wore his jersey, so I'm like, I could be like, okay, he's a young guy that plays for the Royals. Young guy, good hair, plays for the Royals, has a powerful swing. That's the thing. I don't know who these guys are. And it made me think of like home run derbies of years past, like McGuire, Sosa, and them. They would wear like the all-star. It was like they wore the didn't they wear the all-star jerseys for the home run derby? Like the team jerseys, all-star team jerseys for the home run derby, but then wore their own uniforms during the game itself. Is that so far back that we can't remember that? I want to say that's how it
Yeah,
went.
maybe I don't know. I keep thinking of them in their team uniform, so I don't remember the All-Star uniforms.
That was only 20 years ago, which by the way, they keep showing the 25-year anniversary of Ted Williams being
Yeah.
there at that All-Star game, being there and throwing out the first pitch. The last hitter to hit 400 in the season, one of the greatest of all time. And it was interesting seeing all those other players that were there out there, like honoring him too, like Barry Larkin, McGuire, Sosa, Tony Gwynn. Seeing Tony Gwynn with him was one of the last images I saw, who was the best hitter of that generation, just the
Yeah.
best pure hitter, Tony Gwynn, out there with the best hitter of that generation, Ted Williams. So that was a pretty cool image, and especially considering both of those guys are no longer with us and haven't been for a while. unfortunately. But it's that was cool to see. It also made me, who was 14 at the time, say, "Wow, that was 25 years ago." And I remember that game. I remember watching that game. I remember Pedro Martinez striking out the side to start the game. He ended up getting MVP that game. But I mean, going up against some studs and just mowing them down. I want to say he pitched 2 innings and just shut everybody down. That was a memorable game. We've got a good one going on here, but let's talk. Let's before we get to all that, let's talk about the national anthem performed last night before the home run derby. Neither you or I saw it
Yeah.
live. Just wasn't here in time to do that. Didn't have the TV on in time, obviously, but that was quite the performance. What was her name? Ignis something.
I have no idea what her name was. Apparently, she's won a couple of Grammys. So,
Yeah, she's a country singer. I saw a Bleacher Report put out a TikTok or a tweet or something. I've been all over social media today for other things, but that was one thing that I saw pop up, that she had said something about she was drunk and was checking herself into rehab after that, which I would too after that performance. I don't know if that's true. It's one of those things that you don't know if it was a fake tweet or not, or I didn't. I didn't investigate it enough. But when I saw it, I said, well, that would explain it.
yeah.
I would hope it would be that rather than that's how she normally sounds. Because I don't know who she is. I don't listen to country music. There's a few songs that I like that I'll listen to here and there, but 98% of country music I know nothing about. That's her being one of them. But yeah, that was bad. And it just made me think, okay, what are the worst ones ever? Worst national anthems ever. You think of Carl Lewis in the NBA, but he's not a singer, he was a sprinter. And that was more comical than anything. Last night was just, I mean, I guess it was comical. It was also just weird and cringy. Uh, Fergie at the NBA All-Star game in 2018, I think it was. That was another one. That to me, it still was. Last night was terrible, but it still wasn't as bad as Fergie's was.
No, Fergie's was terrible, terrible.
There was art. Do you remember R. Kelly's before the Jermaine Taylor Bernard Hopkins two or Bernard Hopkins fight? Their second one.
No, I do not.
I do. It was. I had had several adult beverages
So
leading
you
up
had
to
less
that
than I
fight.
did probably since you can remember it. So
Yes. Well, it was one. It's one of those things I don't know that you could forget if you saw it, but it was. I was in a good mood, and I remember like trying to like it, that it was something different, and it was like, okay, it's different. He's putting like a spin, because I'm not thinking my clearest because I'm, a little bit inebriated. But then as it continued on, I was like, I can't eat. No, not even in my current state of mind, I can't get behind this. This is so bad. But there was that. There was, of course, Roseanne Barr's performance at a baseball game, but she was like trying to be funny, and that's not something to try to be funny about. It clearly didn't work there. That was really bad. Uh, last night though was still the second worst I have seen, like from the highlights. That was really bad. I still think Fergie takes the cake because she like thought it was. Apparently, she had rehearsed it and thought it was good or it would work, and it just didn't. Uh, what we saw last night was just a disaster. Was I hope she was inebriated because that's the only rational way to explain it. A lot of people were trying to come up with reasons for it, and it's like I think she's just drunk. I don't think it's that deep, y'all.
yeah,
She sounds it. But drunk karaoke sounds better than that. That was awful. All right, so we do you have the All-Star game going on right now?
I do. I do.
Okay, apparently the American League took the lead 5-3. It was 3-3 when I came in here. It's been a really good game. It's been an entertaining game. National League got on the board early off an Otani bomb, and yeah, they were up 3-1. And it's apparently been American League since. But bottom of the sixth, that was one reason I wanted to start on time. I wanted to be able to go in there and watch the end of the game too. I thought about podcasting from the living room, but it was just too much work to move everything in there. So I was like, no, it's a 40-minute show. We'll come in and knock it out, and then I'll go in there and finish watching it. But it's been a good game. It's been a good All-Star weekend. The home run derby was exciting. The All-Star game itself is exciting. We got to see in the first inning the matchup pretty much all of us wanted to see, the dream matchup, as people were saying, the Paul
Yeah.
Skeens and Aaron Judge. I didn't. That's the first time. I'll be honest. That's the first time I've sat down and watched Paul Skeens pitch. Never watched him at LSU. Just heard all the good things. Haven't watched him with Pittsburgh. I know him as a badass pitcher, but he's also Livy Dunn's boyfriend. Like that's the
Yeah.
other thing you hear about. For those of you who don't know who Livy Dunn is, she's a gorgeous gymnast for the national champion LSU gymnastics team. Which, by the way,
Cool.
I had heard something a week ago or so. Like Barstool had like tweeted Livy Dunn returning to LSU to chase a back-to-back national championship. I'm like, where was she gonna go? It's like, what the Olympics or like what?
Yeah.
There's not like a pro gymnastics that I'm aware of. Like you go to the Olympics and then you rake in some endorsements, and then I don't know what you do after that.
Circus Soleil.
I mean, some of them seem to be doing just for Dancing with the Stars. I mean, some of them have good, going to have a little bit of spotlight fame after, which I'm sure you get a decent payout for showing up to things. But either way, I thought that was weird. But we do have a good MLB All-Star game. It's been a good week slash well, I guess not a weekend, but it's been a good All-Star break for baseball. It's been interesting.
Yeah. I think this is the most runs I've seen score in an All-Star game in quite some time.
It's been several years at least. The last two have been very boring. Been very boring. It's been very modern baseball in a negative way, as in it's been nothing but strikeouts and home runs, and way more
Yeah.
strikeouts and home runs. Not much going on anywhere else on the field, etc. Been very boring the last two. This one has not been. It's been intriguing. I was glad to see. Like I'm rooting for baseball. I want to see baseball make a comeback. It's never going to be what it was in its golden age because we have football. That's football now. Basketball is more popular. So baseball will never be the nation's sport again. But I still want to see it do well. And it
Yeah.
still does. It still does better than people think or maybe want to believe, at least some of the naysayers. Like it still does very well. But I don't know. It's just a sport I root for. Like naturally, growing up loving it as a kid, it's something I root for, and I want to see events like this do well and be competitive. Like when they had the Field of Dreams game, when they started that a few years ago, that needed to be a really good game, and it was. It was a great game, and that
Yeah.
was a lot of fun to watch. The one or two after that weren't very good, very very boring. But the first one was lights out.
Yeah.
Couldn't have been a better game. It was amazing. So I root for baseball, and this is an event. So I root for baseball events like that. I want them to do well. And so far, I mean, home run derby tonight, they're doing well. So I'm glad to see that. Glad to see that for baseball. Are we reminded that Otani is definitely he's the best player in the game?
Yeah. After hitting that 3-run shot in the second inning. Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, and it's interesting the game now though, because you've like Bryce Harper, one of the game's best players, maybe top five. He's a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Uh, the I follow the Phillies more than I follow the Cardinals now. I mostly just follow the Cardinals record. Because I enjoy watching the Phillies more. So I know Alec Bohm, Trey Turner, Bryce Harper. I know these guys, right? So I watch them very closely. It's a very entertaining team to watch. Bryce Harper is one of the best hitters in the league, average wise, and he's hitting like 301 at the break. That's considered a good average now. Now you got this Quam guy, the American League leader, hitting like 352. Christian Yelich is leading the National League at like 323 or something like that. But remember, I mean, 20 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, the league leader was around like what? Always like 350. And
Yeah.
there were many people, not many, but there were several players behind him. I think Quam is by far the league leader in the majors and hitting right now, 352. I don't think anybody else is close to that other than Christian Yelich. I'd be interested to see that. But it's not abnormal for the team's best player now to be hitting below 300. Like anywhere between 280 and 295 seems to be like where like the studs are. The studs are at now hitting wise. Interesting times. Everybody's for the long ball, and of course there's power pitching. You see these pitchers now, Skeens and everybody behind him coming in, throwing at least like 97. Looks like on the radar gun, so that has to play a factor in as well. We are top 7 now. Duran powers AL into the lead with 2-run homer. I don't even know who Duran is. Like when they read off the lineups, the starting lineups, I knew the Phillies players. I knew
Yeah.
Otani for the National League. There was one more. I can't remember who it was, but I knew like 5 of the 9. I knew like 3 players for the American League. I knew Soto, Aaron Judge. I knew like 3 or 4, but I mean, granted, yeah, we're adults. We got lives now. We can't sit and watch baseball all day. But you know, back in the day, man, I mean, I could name it all of them.
Yeah. Every
Everybody was
single one of
starting
them.
line. Now it's like, who are these people? Oh, Vlad Jr., Vlad Guerrero Jr. He was the other one. I was like, yeah, that's Vlad Guerrero's kid. Of course, I know who that is. He's a really good player in his own right. By the way, I think he seemed to have a lot to do with Teoscar Hernandez's kind of comeback when he was struggling in the semifinals of the home run derby last night. See, during that timeout, which by the way, he lit it up after every timeout that he took, Hernandez. You saw Vlad Jr. Apparently he trains with him or something. Go over and said, "Hey, quit aiming for left field. Like go to left center." And then he just started raking bombs after that. Shocker of Vlad Guerrero knows about baseball.
Yeah.
Okay, so top 7, 5-3, American League. We got 3 more innings. So, yeah, been a good All-Star weekend. What's going on in the golf world, Brad? Before we touch up on some Olympic stuff.
It's going to be a pretty big weekend. This coming up weekend with the Open taking place, in Scotland at Royal Troon. Last week, old Robert McIntyre, won in his home country. He won the Scottish Open last week. He did pretty well in the last 4 holes. I think he eagled par and then birdied. He made a 20 to 25 foot putt to win it on 18 over Adam Scott. I was kind of pulling for Adam Scott, but I like Bobby Mack, so I like to see him win it in his home venue. But yeah, this weekend is a big event. It's a major overseas. Tiger, big news. Tiger's playing in it this weekend. Rory, he'll be playing in it, which he had a pretty good comeback this last weekend. He tied for 5th, so he did miss some short putts there on Sunday. In fact, the whole week, his putter, he just did not have it with his putter. But yeah, if he ever gets that thing rolling again, he'll find himself in it to win it. But probably ain't going to be this weekend. So if you're talking the top 5 versus the rest of the field, I'm probably going to go with the field this weekend. So
Probably
yeah,
a good choice there.
it'll be something to watch. They're expecting some rain, some strong wind, so it could get real interesting over the weekend.
All right. So that was golf with Brad, everyone. We'll jump back to baseball. I did like at the beginning of this All-Star game, they had some legend Texas Rangers. The game is in Arlington, by the way, home of the Rangers. So the World Series champions. It was cool to see some Rangers legends out there on the mound before the game. Nolan Ryan, Pudge Rodriguez, Adrian Beltre, new 2024 Hall of Fame inductee. Adrian Beltre. Well, they had somebody else too. I can't remember who it was. I didn't recognize him. But yeah, Beltre threw out the first pitch. Going back to the home run derby anthem singer Ingrid Andress. This is the headline on ESPN. Home run derby anthem singer Ingrid Andress says she was drunk. Okay. This is from the article. After a widely panned performance of the U.S. national anthem at the MLB Home Run Derby, country singer Ingrid Andress apologized Tuesday and said she was drunk. Quote, I'm checking myself into a facility today to get the help I need, she posted on social media. That was not me last night. God, I hope not. I apologize to MLB, all the fans, and this country I love so much for that rendition. Major League Baseball is not commenting, spokesperson Matt Bourne said. A representative for Andress said there will be no additional comment at this time. Because what else do you say, right? I mean, that's all we need to know. Yeah. Andress, 32, is the daughter of former Major League strength and conditioning coach Brad Andress, who worked for the Detroit Tigers, Colorado Rockies, and New York Mets. Well, that's a proud papa today. I tell you what. Well, that confirms the suspicions. I hope she was drunk because I hope that's not how she normally. That couldn't have been how it went in rehearsal, you know. I get it. You probably want a drink or two, or if that's your thing to calm your nerves before going out and singing the national anthem in front of millions of people, including in attendance and watching at home. But man, somebody had to know, hey, somebody had to cut her off or something at some point.
Yeah.
They obviously did.
She might have. Yeah, she could have had a little medication to help her out too. So
it could have been a bit of both. Yeah. You froze up there a little bit. I don't know if it's on your end or my end. Could be on my end. I haven't had the greatest internet this week, but we got the picture. Hopefully, it comes through when this thing airs. But yeah, so that's confirmed there. Let's talk a little bit about the U.S. men's national team. They took on Australia in an exhibition game. They got a series of exhibition games.
Squeaked it out against Australia.
Yeah, they didn't exactly blow out the Aussies. What they win by 4, 6?
6 points, I believe.
I think the score did get cleaned up a little bit by the Aussies at the end. They made it look closer than it actually was. The final score, that is. But I don't know. That's a good sign. You're the heavy favorite to win the gold medal. Now, I know certain guys didn't play, and I don't think Durant played. You're not going to go your absolute hardest in an exhibition, but
yeah,
still, you want to set the tone.
Well, apparently, they didn't. Yeah, apparently they didn't look that great the other game versus Canada either. So
Well, I watched they had a replay of it. I got home a little bit early today. I took off work a little bit early so I can go get an oil change and shop for tires, which I'm getting some more tires tomorrow, by the way, which I'm stoked about. They didn't even rotate my tires today, by the way, because they said, no, these are so bald, like we can't even rotate 'em." Like they're
yeah,
not
can't
even
touch
good.
them.
Yeah, so I'm getting new ones tomorrow. I'm glad they held up long enough for me to get to Fort Smith and back over this past weekend. But yeah, if you're that there was one possession in particular that looked great. I mean, every person touched the ball on the offensive end of the floor, and it led to an easy basket, like an easy dunk underneath the basket by Tatum. It was like LeBron to Tatum or something, and like he was like that was 4 and 5. Uh, the ball movement was exceptional, but it wasn't like that the whole game. And it's, I mean, it's a bunch of new guys playing together, so it's gonna take a bit for these guys to gel. So it's good to have these exhibition games, before leading up to the Olympics. Uh, Obviously the U.S. is the heavy favorite, and I think the next game is against Serbia, like Jokic and Serbia. So I would be interested in seeing that one if I can get in front of a TV while it's going on. If anything, I guess I can catch the replay, but that's one I'd really like to see live. All right, so we know the U.S. is the heavy favorite. Who do you see as giving them the most trouble? It's got to be France, right?
Yeah, I mean, with two guys that are 7 foot. Yeah, I think they'll give them a little bit of trouble with Wimby and the number 1 overall draft pick this year.
Well, there's Rudy Gobert too, so there's that.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, Wembanyama, Wimby, Rudy Gobert, and just based on how France did 3 years ago in the Olympics, I mean, they gave the U.S. a fight. Now, this U.S. team is much better this time around than in 21. But France, I mean, France put up a fight in the gold medal game, and they've only gotten better. So I think it's easy to say that it's got to be France. Now, Spain and Argentina, they always have good teams, so they'll be in the mix as well, I'm sure. But yeah, I would say France, especially with the talent they have and coming up, and also the fact that you're playing in Paris. Yeah, that's going to give them a huge lift at certain times for sure. I can only imagine. All right, and before we get out of here, I do want to address the basically what I said last week about it being closer than people think between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and as far as the WNBA Rookie of the Year goes, I still think that's the case. I think it'll be closer than people think, just based on who makes the votes for that, sports writers. So
yeah.
um, some are on that Angel Reese bandwagon. But I actually got to sit down and watch the Fever play, and I actually got to sit down and watch some of the Sky play and how Angel Reese has gotten some of these double doubles in garbage time, begging for the ball, screaming for the ball while they're either up 10 or down 20
Yeah.
in the waning
When you should
moments,
be, yeah,
just to
you
get
should
the
be
double
dribbling it
double.
out. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's pathetic. And actually watching Caitlin Clark play and seeing the two play, it's not even close. Like it is probably, but it shouldn't be. Caitlin Clark should be far and away the defensive, or excuse me, the WNBA Rookie of the Year. It shouldn't even be close. It will be, but it shouldn't be. So basically, I was going off statistics last week because like I said, I didn't have TV for a week and a half, and I just hadn't had time to sit down and watch the games. After watching the two of them play, it's yeah, it shouldn't be close. It will be, but it shouldn't be. Caitlin Clark's the clear cut WNBA Rookie of the Year, and it's not close. And Angel Reese has her fans, of course, who will defend her no matter what. The eye test tells you. Still crazy to me that some think that she's not only as good as Caitlin Clark, but even better. That's nuts, by the way.
Yeah.
That's
Shooting what, barely 30% from 3 feet out.
it's a
It's
level
pathetic.
of it's a level of delusion I can't even begin to understand.
Yeah.
But
There's
like,
10 years out there that can make better shots.
yeah, if you want to be a fan of hers, that's fine. I'm not saying don't be. I'm just saying don't let it cloud your judgment. She's not. She's a she's a good player. She's competitive and she's big.
Yeah.
She's a good rebounder. She's gonna get rebounds. Uh she's 6'3" and hangs around the basket. She should be averaging double doubles.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have a good skill set outside of that. She has no skill set outside of that. So it shouldn't be close. Like I said, it will be just based on who's voting, but it shouldn't be. And Caitlin Clark, they played, gosh, who did they play that they beat? Actually, I knew they beat the Liberty, which, by the way, loved that the New York Liberty put an end to Angel Reese's double double streak by because, of course, the Sky's down 20 points. They're down almost 20 points. Angel Reese is screaming for the ball on the last possession of the game. The Liberty see this and they're like, no. So they put 4 on her when the ball got passed to her, and she just had no choice but to give it up. Loved it. Like, kind of became a New York Liberty fan a little bit after that, which I do like that team anyway. I like Sabrina Ionescu. Brianna Stewart's a really good player. That's a fun team to watch, and I liked them even more after that.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
yeah, it's good to see the opposite, the opposing team not just willing to gift her a double double like some other teams had in garbage time.
like they did in
So
the previous game before
yeah,
that
they had
one.
they had some pride and said, no, you're not going to pull that crap on us.
Yeah, I don't know who it was, but the team that they played prior to that, the Sky that is, Angel Reese is screaming for the ball, gets it, and the player fouls her like as she's going up,
Yeah,
and it was an unnecessary foul. It was unnecessary to call it, you know, and it was just because it wasn't even like a hard foul, it wasn't a clear cut foul, but it was almost like everybody was in on it. Like, hey, let's help her get that double double. No, the Liberty said absolutely not on our watch, and they
yeah,
put an end to that in a hurry. And what's sad or what's unfortunate is Angel Reese looked more disappointed after the game that she didn't extend her double double streak than her team lost. She looked more upset over that than the fact that her team lost. But that's very Angel Reese as far as I'm concerned,
yeah.
based on what I've seen from her ever since I started watching her play. And Caitlin Clark,